Jazz Jennings was once celebrated as one of the most visible faces of transgender youth. She was a trailblazer whose journey from early childhood transition to reality TV fame inspired millions and shaped cultural conversations about gender identity. From viral interviews to I Am Jazz chronicling her life, she was a symbol of courage and progress. But behind public affirmation and activism, a deeper, more painful reality has unfolded. What happens when the pressures of fame, intense medical intervention, and ongoing personal struggle collide? This is the story of what the world saw and what it failed to fully understand.
Jazz Jennings celebrates being happy in her own skin.
I think being a woman is being just a queen, knowing that you are beautiful no matter what anyone else says.
Weight loss after binge eating disorder. Jazz Jennings has revealed another tragedy that has kept her fans in tears, and that's a public personal transformation in her life. Her journey with weight, health, and binge eating disorder shocked many, especially in 2021, when the I Am Jazz star openly revealed that she had experienced a nearly 100-pound weight gain over about 2 years due to a binge eating disorder and an increased appetite because of some of the medications she was taking. Jennings had actually shared her side-by-side photos on Instagram to hold herself accountable. She said that she was ready to change her ways and commit to better health after struggling with her eating habits and the emotional challenges that came with them. Online, she was very open about the eating disorder that she was dealing with. Jennings revealed that she had an eating disorder, which involved episodes of consuming large quantities of food and feeling a loss of control. It was a hallmark of BED that usually carried psychological distress as well as physical consequences. At the time, she admitted that she was supported by family, friends, and professionals. She said that she knew she had the power to lose the weight, but it took a lot for her to muster up dedication and consistency. Over the years, Jennings actively documented her weight loss journey. She also shared updates on social media and through her reality series. By early 2024, she had lost about 70 pounds, posting photos and reflections on how prioritizing her health had boosted her confidence and overall well-being. She described feeling happier and healthier as she continued to take steps toward improving her physical and mental health through lifestyle changes, such as exercise and mindful eating. It wasn't until August 2024 when Jennings celebrated a near 100-pound weight loss. This was a significant milestone in her wellness journey and underscored her long-term commitment to better health. In an Instagram post announcing this achievement, she said, "Good health is not a certificate you display. It is a constant effort." Her openness about both the challenges and the success has inspired many who follow her story. She reinforced that recovering from an eating disorder and the pursuit of health were deeply personal. Throughout this process, Jazz has continued to advocate for self-care and body positivity, and that beauty and worth exist in every stage of health. Although Jennings has finally gotten over this tragedy, there are other problems she has faced over the years, especially after the most important surgery of her life.
I hope that by sharing my story, I could kind of redefine womanhood and show that despite being born biologically male, I still represent all of the qualities of femininity that women represent.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I'm gonna get them to cry.
You know I can't get out of my head.
I know. Listen.
It just doesn't stop.
Surgery complications. At age 17, in June 2018, Jazz Jennings underwent gender confirmation surgery, a milestone that was a deeply affirming step in her transition. This was publicly framed as the culmination of years of medical care, but it was turned into a difficult and unexpected medical journey, marked by complications that went far beyond what many had expected. But because Jennings had been on puberty blockers and hormone therapy from a young age, Her body couldn't produce enough genital tissue that was normally used in standard penile inversion vaginoplasty procedures. The surgeons had to improvise by using skin grafts and tissue from her abdominal lining, and you can still see the scars on her thighs today. They used this method to construct her neovagina. At first, the surgery seemed to be successful, but complications emerged shortly after this happened. Within days, the surgical site started to separate, a condition known as wound dehiscence, requiring an emergency return to the operating room for revision surgery. The doctors revealed that the overall surgical course was very difficult because of the lack of sufficient native tissue, as this made the entire process more complicated than expected. After the operation, she had to deal with extended hospital stays, intense pain during recovery, and constant follow-up procedures to treat the scarring and narrowing of the neovaginal canal. She had to engage in regular dilation routines, which were very painful and also emotionally taxing, but that was the only way they could maintain the surgical results. In public statements and interviews, Jennings admitted the setbacks that she faced. She said that they were part of her path, and she was very determined to move forward. She didn't hide what she was going through, but shared photos of the surgical scars on social media, calling them battle wounds, as she wanted to live authentically. Because of the long surgical recovery process, Jennings had both physical and emotional challenges. She had to deal with extended medical interventions, hospital readmissions, and the psychological challenge. Jennings admits that she is proud of her decision despite the long process that it took to recover, but she doesn't deny that it had a major impact on her mental health and identity. Mental health and identity crisis challenges. Jazz Jennings has been struggling with mental health and identity for many years, and this is one of the tragedies that has shaped her life so far. As early as the mid-2000s, she spoke openly about battling anxiety and depression, admitting that she usually felt overwhelmed by emotions and stress, despite her outward confidence and advocacy work. At first, she described feeling defeated and consumed by feelings of intense anxiety. And this was something you wouldn't expect when considering how public her life was as a symbol of transgender youth resilience and success. The mental health challenges have also affected her major life transitions and decisions. In 2019, Jennings deferred her admission to Harvard University because she wanted to take the time to refocus and recenter herself. She admitted that the pressures of college and growing independent responsibilities were too intimidating given the feelings of anxiety and depression that she felt. Over time, this emotional strain came with other struggles, like with her binge eating disorder that she recently recovered from. She admitted that her eating disorder was because of emotional overload and stress. Season 7 of I Am Jazz highlighted this period of Jennings's life in greater depth, as she admitted that she had mental health issues that affected her daily functioning and even her plans to attend Harvard on schedule. She gained weight while grappling with emotional difficulties, and this became worse as she started feeling shame and humiliation because of her weight. She admitted that comments from her family members affected her self-esteem during a vulnerable time. Her journey of mental health issues and identity crisis shows how anxiety, depression, and disordered eating can come up in individuals who have spent a lot of their lives in the spotlight advocating for others. But she remains open about her thoughts and the challenges that she is going through. Jennings's tragedy has also affected her family, leading to tensions between her and her mother. Family tensions. In the start, Jazz Jennings seemed to have a family that was united in support of her gender identity and activism, but over time, the tensions within the Jennings household have become more obvious, especially as many have pointed towards the problems surrounding her health and autonomy. When her reality series, I Am Jazz, started, her parents, especially her mother, Jeanette Jennings, were portrayed as steadfast advocates. They seemed to be fighting for her right to live authentically and called themselves protective allies. Jazz has also spoken about the love and support she received from her family, as they helped her through bullying and emotional challenges during her transition. But in the recent seasons of I Am Jazz, and even in their social media interactions, it was revealed that there was a strain beneath that supportive facade, especially with Jazz's struggle with mental health and weight gain. Jeanette has been spotted looking frustrated and concerned over Jazz's binge eating disorder and weight, at times even pushing her to lose weight and openly commenting on her behavior. In some of these moments, Jazz revealed that she felt like she was being fat-shamed and humiliated. There have been other points in the show where the pressure from familiar expectations contributed to conflict. In different episodes, viewers could see how Jazz felt stress and anxiety while making major life decisions like not attending Harvard University, and her desire to not disappoint her parents and the public audience. In moments like those, viewers noticed how the relationship between Jazz and her family had become tense, dealing with the realities of life under constant scrutiny. Even if her parents have supported her without any discrimination, others have criticized them for being over-involved and pressuring her. They say that her parents made it hard for her to be independent and set out on her own. But Jazz Jennings's tragedies are never kept private, and that has caused many members of the public to scrutinize her and accuse her of oversharing personal details online. But that has only added to her tragedies. Oversharing personal details. Jazz Jennings's life has been documented on television since she was a child, and that means she doesn't have any secrets, with some even saying that she has a habit of oversharing. From her early years identifying as transgender to major medical decisions and personal struggles, much of Jazz's life has unfolded in front of cameras on her reality show. From the start, the show made no secret of its intention to show typical teen drama through the lens of a transgender youth. So they placed Jazz's personal experiences, family dynamics, and medical milestones in the public eye. This included discussions about her gender identity, hormone treatments, and even very private aspects of her physical and emotional health. Even in early national interviews, such as her childhood appearance on 2020, Jazz and her family didn't hide any secrets about her medical choices and gender identity. This is different from most parents that keep their children's lives private. Even now that she's an adult, Jennings continues to post a lot of what's happening in her life, revealing her scars, weight loss journey, and more on her social media page. Many have accused her of constantly oversharing what's happening in her life. Although many of her posts and the reality show have helped raise awareness about transgender experiences, they also exposed a lot of her personal moments to the world, provoking a lot of debates. Some have also complained about the fact that they reveal a lot of secrets about her life for a very young person. At the same time, Jazz herself has responded to criticisms about transparency. She once acknowledged that she has been criticized for sharing too much information, but has defended her openness, saying that personal disclosure can help others learn and feel less alone. Since most of her life was being revealed on TV, the problem was how much was real and how much was fake. After all, reality TV tends to blur the line between fake and real just for drama. Messy Reality TV, the TLC series I Am Jazz, was conceived as an educational reality show, meant to show a transgender teenager navigating adolescence, identity, and family life. It offered viewers a new perspective into a young person's transition on camera. The series ran from 2015 to 2023 to normalize transgender experiences and broaden public understanding. At first, it used heartfelt storytelling and fostered empathy. But like any other reality TV project, I Am Jazz started to move from authenticity to sensationalism. Reality television usually depends on conflicts, personal drama, and heightened emotional moments to maintain viewer interest. The show's portrayal of Jazz's life sometimes kept her in a state of constant public conflict and interaction with hostile rhetoric, so it was clear that they wanted to dramatize her personal experiences for entertainment value instead of pure documentary storytelling. For instance, a lot of Jennings's struggles with mental health, weight changes, and medical decisions have been portrayed with traditional reality TV narratives. They often edited the show for dramatic effect instead of an educational effect. They focused too much on drama, and it seemed like she was now being exploited. But Jazz Jennings has been criticized many times for oversharing and some of her decisions, not only by the public, but also by another celebrity who doesn't agree with some of her decisions. Public feud with Derick Dillard. Jazz Jennings's rise to fame through I Am Jazz attracted public criticism from many sources, especially from Derick Dillard, a former cast member of TLC's 19 Kids and Counting On. In 2017, and again in 2018, Dillard took to social media to attack Jennings with transphobic comments and question her transgender identity. This led to a widely covered feud that underscored broader cultural tensions around gender identity and representation. The conflict began when Dillard tweeted that I Am Jazz was an oxymoron and that transgender is a myth. He also said that gender is not fluid, but is ordained by God. He also misgendered Jennings by referring to her with male pronouns, language that drew swift backlash online because Jennings identifies as female. The exchange prompted many viewers and commentators to describe Dillard's remarks as transphobic and harmful, especially given that Jennings was a teenager at the time. Jennings responded calmly and with dignity, acknowledging that she experiences cyberbullying regularly, but choosing not to let it derail her focus on sharing her journey. On Twitter, she stated, "Every day I experience cyberbullying, but I keep sharing my story. Today was no different," signaling her determination to continue advocacy despite negative commentary. But the feud was not over, and it became worse when Dillard continued with his criticism, tweeting that media portrayals of transgender people amounted to child abuse. His comments on social media became so controversial that TLC had to kick him out of Counting On. The network issued statements confirming that Dillard would no longer appear on the show and that his views did not reflect TLC's support for presenting Jennings's experiences. But Dillard isn't the only one bullying Jazz Jennings, as she has admitted multiple times that she deals with online bullying and hate mail every day. Online bullying and hate mail. With Jazz Jennings's fame as a prominent transgender public figure, she continues to face a shocking tragedy from the public. She is a frequent target of online bullying, hate mail, and hostile rhetoric, far beyond the normal scope of criticism faced by many celebrities. Even if he has used her social media and reality show to educate and advocate, the constant exposure has also attracted scary, hateful, and sometimes even violent messages, revealing the dark side of internet culture and transphobia. Even in her personal life, bullying isn't limited to social media feeds. In a 2023 premiere episode of I Am Jazz, Jennings shared a cruel message she received on a dating app simply for being transgender, expressing frustration and sadness that someone would be cruel to her for something intrinsic to who she is. In fact, Jennings revealed that she receives death threats almost every day, with messages telling her to burn in hell or encouraging self-harm. This was content that anyone would find disturbing, but it was especially discouraging because of her identity. Once, she even spoke candidly about how terrifying it feels when a threat indicates that someone knows her location, even as she acknowledged feeling protected at university. Despite this, she continues to share her story, although many people accuse her parents of the tragedies she has faced, especially since they allowed her to change her gender despite how young she was. Puberty blockers and hormones. Jennings started using puberty blockers and hormone therapy at a very young age, and this has been important to her personal medical journey, her tragedies, and questions about transgender health care for minors. Assigned male at birth, Jazz began expressing a consistent female gender identity as a child, and by age 11, under the guidance of physicians and with her parents' support, she started taking puberty blockers, medications that delay the physical changes of puberty, to prevent the onset of male puberty. Later, she began estrogen hormone therapy to develop female-typical secondary sex characteristics, a regimen she has described as life-affirming and essential for her mental well-being. Her parents have defended themselves, saying that they made the decisions after careful consideration and consulted with many medical professionals because their family thought it was important to help Jazz avoid the stress associated with puberty. In interviews, they explained that when confronted with the prospect of male puberty, including changes like facial hair and a deeper voice, they wanted to support Jazz in a way that would allow her to feel comfortable in her own body. Many have accused Jazz's parents and doctors of allowing her to start hormone therapy when she was so young, arguing that a child of her age couldn't fully understand what she was choosing. Jazz Jennings has dealt with a lot of tragedies over the years, starting with the latest problem of being overweight because of a disorder. Although she has recovered and slowly overcomes other tragedies, everyone is wondering what will happen to her next. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. So, thanks for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one.